Good morning, everyone. So we're going to switch gears for a second. Don't worry, you're going to have another great, fun faculty talk after us. But I'm Jill Bruins, and I work in graduate admissions, and this is my colleague, Samantha Rogers, and she works over in our University Federal Aid Office. So both of us are going to be going through a quick presentation for you today about scholarships and the financial aid process here at Vanderbilt. Okay, so I'm going to start out by talking about the Peabody scholarships, which is something that our office handles. But before I get into my presentation, I just want to make a quick note for all of the special education students in the room. The majority of my presentation is probably not going to apply to you, and that's because special education handles their funding a bit differently than the rest of the college. But don't worry, this afternoon in your departmental session, they will cover this in detail for you. Okay, so I just want to go over the merit-based scholarships that we have here at Peabody. So there's 5 different ones: the Peabody Honor Scholarship, the Dean's Tuition Scholarship, the Scholastic Achievement Scholarship, the Virginia Haynes Redfield Scholarship, and the Ira Scholarship. And every single applicant was considered for our merit-based awards. And if you were awarded any, it was indicated in your admissions letter. And for those of you who haven't been admitted yet, it will be indicated in your admission letter when you receive that. So just those are the scholarships that we have here. We also have what we call special scholarships, and you probably saw this on the application when you filled out your application to apply here. And those are our criteria-based awards for alumni of AmeriCorps, Teach for America, Peace Corps, the McNair Scholars Program, City Year, and the Posse program. So most of you did indicate if you were an alumni of one of those programs on your application and a scholarship was awarded to you in your admissions letter. If for some reason you forgot to do that in your application, just go ahead and send us an email and we can get that added. But again, all that information is on our website as well. I just want to reiterate, for those of you who did receive a scholarship, to please make sure that you read your scholarship details very carefully in the admissions letter. For example, some of our scholarships are only given for the first year of studies, split equally between the fall and spring semester, and aren't renewable. And then make sure that you're reading the requirements to maintain that scholarship. So all of them have a GPA requirement, and you must stay in academic good standing. So just read that letter in a lot of detail. And then for those of you who did receive either our Scholastic Achievement Scholarship, the Dean's Tuition Scholarship, or the Peabody Honor Scholarship, I just want to point out that, and again, this is in the letter as well, that those scholarships cannot be combined with any other tuition award or an assistantship that carries a tuition benefit. So again, those cannot be combined. However, assistantships and those tuition awards can be combined with assistantships that pay an hourly wage. So you can combine those. And then just quickly on assistantships, this is always one of the most popular questions we get. There are a lot of assistantship opportunities here at Peabody and then also across Vanderbilt. You see the types listed there on the screen. The prime hiring for the assistantships really isn't going to be until later this spring and even into the summer. So do not be concerned that you have not seen assistantship information yet or there's not a lot of postings, because it's just not the right time of year. Faculty and departments are kind of putting together their staffing needs for next year, and they'll have those posted as soon as they have them available. When they are posted, they will be on the Peabody job board. I think we've sent that link to you. It's on the admitted student website. It's been in a few newsletters. So all of our positions will be posted online on the Peabody job board when they're available. But again, continue to check throughout the spring and really even into the summer months for positions as they become available. I will say that the compensation for the vast majority of assistantships is going to be an hourly wage, but there are a few who do provide a tuition benefit as well. So you'll just want to look for those details in the job descriptions when you see those. And just a little note here on maximum number of work hours. So the university, Vanderbilt University, puts a limit on the number of hours you can work on campus, and that's 29.5 hours per week, and that's inclusive of all positions here. So there are some students who do work, 2 10-hour-a-week jobs or things like that. So just make sure that if you are going to take on more than one job on campus, it cannot be more than 29.5 hours a week. And then just quickly to go over the tuition. So we have here the tuition costs for this academic year, 2016-17, and that's $15.96 per credit hour. Now I will say that some of you may be used to paying tuition in a flat rate, like at undergrad where you pay $15,000 and you can take up to 12 credits. So at graduate school it's a lot different, and you actually pay by the credit hour. So however many credit hours is your program is what you will pay the tuition for. Unfortunately, we don't have the rates yet for the 2017-18 academic year. That will be released in May. So yeah, we just don't have any information at that point. The Vanderbilt Board of Trustees has to approve that in May, so that's why it is so late. You can expect a little bit of an increase on the tuition costs, though, for next year. And then I have listed here just some typical fees. You have the health insurance fee, which can be waived if you have proof of other insurance. So if some of you are still on your parents' insurance or have your own insurance, you can waive that fee here. And then there's mandatory activity rec fees, which is about $438 a year. And then there's a one-time $30 transcript fee, which will be on your first bill. And that takes care of any transcript that you ever need sent from this university in the future. And then if you guys have any questions, I know you probably do. I will be at the information fair this afternoon from 4 to 5 in the Wyatt Atrium. Just stop by my table, which will be the Peabody Scholarships table, and I'll be able to answer any questions that you have. Alternately, you can send an email to the email there or give us a call. All right, so I'm going to turn it over now to Samantha Rogers, who will talk all about the federal financial aid process here.
Good. Oh, thanks. So, good morning. I'm going to keep this brief because I know we're under time constraints. But as she said, my name is Samantha Rogers, and so I'm in the University Financial Aid Office. So, financial aid for the whole campus. That's pretty much what you can think of. It's separate. We have it separated. So, let me introduce our aid officers. So, this is what you need to know. If your last name begins with the letters A through F, then your aid officer is Kelly Hawthorne. That is her right there that waved her hand, blonde in the front. If your last name begins with G through M, I am your officer. Hello. And last but not least, if your last name starts with the letters N through Z, Samantha Sullivan is your aid officer. I know some of you all may have questions, but we will also be at the information fair today at 4 p.m., so feel free to stop by and ask us questions. So I'm just going to get right into it. So our office, we only award federal aid. So if you have questions about scholarships, that's going to be Peabody. That'll be Jill Bruins right here. But if you have questions about how to obtain a loan or how to obtain federal work study or something along those lines, then that's our office. If you fill out a FAFSA, it pretty much will be a loan and or federal work study. How you apply, you need to complete a FAFSA. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the FAFSA process. I have the website up there if you're not. It is free. If you go to a website that's trying to charge you, you're at the wrong website, okay? Just keep that in mind. You will need your FSA ID to sign. The FSA ID, it serves as your electronic signature. So you have to complete that, have that to complete your FAFSA. One tidbit of information, if you are starting this summer and you want to receive aid or you think you might need a loan, you need to do a FAFSA for 2016-2017. If you are starting in the fall and you think you're going to need aid for the fall and spring terms, you need to do a 2017-2018 FAFSA. If you are doing both, you need to do both FAFSAs if you want to be considered for aid. The last date to complete a 2016-2017 FAFSA is going to be June 30th if you're going for the summer terms. So just keep that in mind. I know that confuses some people, but those deadlines are very crucial. So if you fill out a FAFSA, these are the common questions that we get all the time. The maximum amount that you can receive, if you fill out a FAFSA, typically your award will be a direct unsubsidized loan. There's more information, I think, in a handout that you'll get or you may have already received that talks about that already, but the maximum amount that you could possibly receive is up to $20,500 for the year. The application process, like I said, is listed on the handout. If you feel like you will need additional loans on top of that, there are other options. There's a direct Graduate Plus loan and or a private loan. We'll be happy to discuss those and help you figure out what the best option is for you. Something that you need to know, Your financial aid eligibility will be adjusted based on the number of hours you're enrolled in. So if you're taking 6 hours one term, we adjust your cost of attendance for those 6 hours, the tuition portion specifically. If you take 9 hours, then we base it on the 9 hours. If you have scholarships or assistantships, know that they can decrease the amount of loan money that you can receive, because the Department of Education says that you cannot receive more financial aid than the actual cost of attendance. So the amount of scholarships you get, it definitely affects your cost of attendance, and it affects your the amount of loans that you can receive. In the summertime, something that you need to know that people get confused about is if you want to borrow federal aid, which is a loan pretty much, or pretty much any of the loans, you have to be enrolled for at least 3 credit hours during the summer. During the fall and spring, that changes. In the fall or spring terms, you have to be at least registered for 6 hours for each term. So 6 hours in the fall and 6 hours in the spring. That's what's considered to be a part-time student. You must be enrolled in 6 hours. We get this question a lot, and it causes confusion, and then people come to school and they're registered for 3 hours in the fall and thinking they're going to be able to borrow a loan. You cannot. That's just one of the rules that apply. What is work study? This confuses people a lot. It is different from assistantships. Work study is basically, if you get awarded work study, first of all, you have to complete the FAFSA to get the unsubsidized loan and to get work study. It's not guaranteed that you're going to get work study. But if you are awarded work study, it is just simply the opportunity to have an on-campus job. You can work up until a certain amount, the amount that you're awarded. You don't have to repay those funds. You're paid those funds typically for our graduate students in a monthly amount, but it can be bi-weekly or monthly. And whatever you do with those funds is up to you. But the money does not, it's not like you work and then we decrease your charges or it's applied to your balance. It does not work like that. It's just simply the opportunity for you to have an on-campus job. You can work up to 29.5 hours if you take an on-campus job, like Jill said. Now, if it's something off-campus, you do whatever works best for you. You can see what the starting wages are. Please don't be alarmed. That's just the starting wages. The wages just vary from department to department. We list all of our jobs on HireDoor. HireDoor is basically our online job bank. That's where you would find every job that's listed on campus, and we also list, we have employers off campus that list on HireDoor as well. So it's a great source, so check it out. For you all, you won't be able to access it until early August, like the first week in August. You'll get a notification from our office with your user ID and password. And then you can kind of just search and look for jobs on campus and look for those around the city as well. Because like I said, we do have off-campus employers that advertise as well. One thing that I mentioned that I forgot to mention about the loans that our loan officer has asked me to stress is if you do not want a loan, if you get an award notification for office and you don't want a loan, simply email us and ask us to cancel it. That's all you have to do. There's nothing else. We will never process a loan because you have to complete the paperwork. But if it just freaks you out, just email us and we'll cancel the loan. So we can do that at any time. Last but not least is just billing statements. Student accounts will issue summer billing statements in May. And then it just depends on the term that you're registered for, because we have like a Maymester, which I don't think most of you all take Maymester classes, but it'll have the due date on that bill, but just know that they'll be issued in May. And then for the fall, the billing statements, paper billing statements will be mailed out August 1st. And then the bill is usually due within the first 2 weeks of August. I don't have that exact date, but the paper billing statements will be issued out August 1st. And then sometimes we will send out an electronic notice in mid-July. So just know that. One last question, or two last things. Refunds. If you have an excessive credit balance from your loans and you have a credit and you're thinking you want a refund, you can sign up for direct deposit. Look on the student accounts website. You can sign up for direct deposit. If you're issued a refund, we'll put it in your account, whatever account you list. If not, then it's going to be mailed out as a paper check. Refunds are issued after classes start. So if classes start like on the 25th of August, then you can expect a refund that next week if you have everything in line and you've done everything. There are also payment plans available for the fall and spring terms. Some people don't want to borrow a loan, I understand. You can do a payment plan, just look on the student accounts website. But the payment plans do not apply to the summer term. So there's no payment plans for summer, only for fall and spring. And last but not least, like Jill said, the health insurance can be waived if you already have it. Health insurance waivers are due August 1st. If you have it and you want to submit the health insurance waiver, just know that it's due by August 1st. If you do not submit it by August 1st, then they will not waive your health insurance and you will be charged. Otherwise, thank you for your attention. Here is our email addresses, and like I said, we'll be available later on today at the information session if you have any other questions. Thanks so much.